Today we're going to talk about what I learned from Oklahoma's defensive availability post-practice on Monday, and all that's coming up after the bumper.
What do you mean you don't subscribe to my son's YouTube channel?
Mama, no!
Just snap the damn ball, RJ.
What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. I'm really damn tired. I just got back from defensive availability, which is like 150 miles that way, to Norman, talk to Alex Grinch, Chance Sylvie, Patrick Fields, see what we couldn't learn about how they're preparing for Houston and what the expectations are. I think Lincoln Riley did a really good job of outlining what he thought his defense should do against Houston and what he's looking for over the course of the season. He talked about wanting to see them communicate well, talked about wanting to see them tackle well, and then how many turnovers they create or negative plays they create. All are really interesting things. And Alex Grinch continuing to talk like a philosophy professor to entry-level true freshmen is still, I kind of think, interesting and fun. If you've ever read Ishmael by Daniel Quinn, you understand what I'm getting at. When he says things like the ball doesn't know who's it's supposed to be. It has no concept of offense or defense, so why don't we have the ball? Or hearing Patrick Fields say things like, isn't it wild that the offense can throw the ball in the backfield and expect a positive play? Well, yeah, because space and time and speed, and I understand Grinch is trying to make this game super literal and super easy to understand, and there's some cookie cutter fortune cookie wisdom in there. But if it works, right? What I want to know is, does the damn scheme work, right? Because we won't know until they play against Derek King and Marquez Stevenson and a lot of a Dana Holgorsen offense that's going to be primed and ready to go. But another thing we learned, big overarching story, Jaquaylin Crawford is a defensive back now. He's not only one on the depth chart, he's also working at some nickel, and they really like him out there. Grinch was complimentary of how Crawford has adapted to the role, and it was actually he and Roy Manning who were talking about saying, hey, there's an athlete over there. We don't really know what the depth chart looks like on the wide receiver position, but with Trey Norwood going down, words are hard. It is late. You wanted somebody to help you shore up, and then Jaquaylin Crawford probably was going to have a hard time getting on the field on the offense side of the ball, so there you go. One of those wide receivers has decided to play defensive back. Now we get to see if some of y'all are right, in which case you were like, yo, kind of deep at wide receiver. Maybe some of y'all want to go over there to the defensive backfield as if there aren't 4-star and 5-star guys back there. One of the guys back there is Chance Sylvie, who's coming back from an Achilles injury and is just now getting to 100%. Even going through spring ball, he would talk about tightness in his Achilles and his ankle, didn't really know what to expect. Making the move from safety to nickel, he feels much more in his natural element. He's a guy that made his name tackling people and knocking the ball loose, and now he gets to do a little bit more of that, as well as cover. I've said before, nickel's the toughest position to play on the defensive side of the ball, outside of perhaps middle linebacker. You have to be right more often than not, and it's really difficult to be right because you don't have the advantage of playing with the boundary. Even the field corner gets a boundary to play with. And as the free safety or strong safety, you get to have the overarching view. You get to see everybody in front of you and know how to keep things in front of you just by, stay deeper than the deepest man. Nickel, you're playing man, you're playing zone, you're blitzing off the edge, you're matching up with tight ends, you're matching up with smaller wide receivers, you're matching up with running backs out of the backfield. It's a difficult position to play, which is one of the reasons why you wanted to see more competition out there with Buki, with Chance Sylvie, with Jeremiah Cordell, and Jaquaylin Crawford helping to shore up, because now that, Trey Norwood's out for the season, just having surgery done to his knee, you expect to have to fortify the defense, and you want everybody to be available to go that's ready to go, because now bodies are at a premium. It's not, like you could trade them for, although that was a good joke that was made at availability, which is, did you have to give up something to get Jaquaylin Crawford from the offense, like cash considerations in the trade. It's a good joke. What else did we learn? Grinch said leaving the game with fewer than 2 turnovers against Houston would be extremely disappointing. This goes back to his thinking about having 24 takeaways equal 9 wins, no matter what the offense does, no matter how many points are scored. If you get 24 takeaways, you'll get to 9 wins. If you get to 30, you're one of the best in the country, and that's really difficult to do, and he understands that. But knowing what his defense is capable of and knowing how they have coached it, knowing what Houston is bringing in, he's confident in saying if we don't get 2 or more, that's extremely disappointing because the ball is going to be there. right? We know that we are going to have opportunities to go get the ball, whether it be stripping it from running back or wide receiver or picking it off or knocking it loose. You have opportunities to go get the ball, and you should come up with 2 at a minimum. Over 2, like 3 a game, but 3 a game also gets you into that 30 territory that you're talking about. So I think setting a tone, getting a baseline for this defense is going to be really interesting and really cool to watch because you got a good offense to set that baseline against. If you can stop Houston or you can play with Houston, you can play with anybody in the Big 12 because they're just that explosive offensively. And we all know that Derek King is one of the best playmakers, if not quarterbacks, in all of college football. Lincoln Riley put a bow on that. One of the things I thought was really interesting that was kind of inside football for those of us that are diehards and really live and breathe this stuff is Spencer Rattler is scout team quarterback. He's Derek King when they're going up against the defense. Him giving them looks, obviously he's not going to be as fast as Derek King, but he is a mobile quarterback. He knows how to move around the pocket. He knows how to remain elusive, keep his eyes downfield, and look for targets to hit. It's going to be interesting to see how he evolves as a scout team quarterback week to week, what simulation, if anything, he's able to give when you're preparing for, say, UCLA, which is going to be much more zone run oriented and much more oriented to running the ball in a spread. And down the line, I am interested and I am extremely fond of the idea of Spencer Rattler running a scout team because you get an opportunity to run your group and you get the opportunity to fortify your group. And hear about who is scout team offensive player of the week, defensive player of the week is always going to be interesting because it is a precursor to what we expect to be really, really good play in a couple of years, right? You'll remember that Levi Draper was the guy that was winning defensive scout team player of the week in and week out, and he's coming back from injury. It's a guy that could figure in. Deshaun White talked about Kenneth Murray Jr. as a guy who's been like a big brother for him. That partnership seems to be growing, and that underscores what Lincoln Riley had to say about how the defense is looking and feeling. It's a little bit more camaraderie. There's a little bit more of a brotherhood there. You're going to need outstanding chemistry, and as Grinch said, you're going to need your seniors to play the best ball of their lives if you're going to be a championship caliber football team. And you're going to be really, really buoyed by redshirt seniors at defensive tackle. Neville Gallimore, Marquise Overton, and, of course, Dylan Matau. And spread that out, right? Can the pups come along? Can you get outstanding play like we expect to get out of the inside linebackers? And can the secondary show you something? Just anything at all. Really enjoy being able to hear what these guys have to say because I got a better understanding of just what kind of a mood they were in when they said it, and they're responding to some questions. And you always know when, guys are kind of coach speaking, saying, hey, I don't want to speak toward that guy, I just want to speak toward the group, or I want to speak toward what I believe we should be working toward. Grinch is certainly in that category. He wants to give praise when praise is due. He also is very good about not overreaching. So, like, expecting Jaquaylin Crawford to just go out there and be a world beater, I don't even know if you see the guy on the field, right? But it is a move, kind of like with Austin Jackson, people getting all up in arms about a Clemson grad transfer, never really wanting to give thought to him being a walk-on. These are all things that you need to keep in perspective. But the guys that I expect you to see against Houston in the secondary, Chance Sylvie, Trey Brown, Patrick Fields, and then we'll see, right? We all know that Parnell Motley and Jordan Parker have been duking it out for that other corner spot. You'll probably see both of them. Probably see Delarian Turner yell out there at strong safety, but I would not be surprised to see Jamal Morris as well. It's going to be a fun game. It's going to be a fun week. All right, that's it for me. I'm going to bed. Doses.